fantasy football. Lucky for you, you are right where you need to be. So sit back, relax, and turn up the volume on your streaming device. Johnny Ballgame, Sir Poops-a-Lot, and the Fantasy Reaper are about to deliver humor and fantasy gold at the same time. Crush your opponent with a smile. It's Fantasy Sports Island.
Welcome back, Fantasy Sports Island. What is up, folks? Welcome to the island. We're here to assist you with your fantasy football team.
Yep.
And most importantly, we don't take ourselves too seriously, so we're going to bring the humor, right? Johnny, Ballgame.
We are going to be quite hilarious. We're going to really enjoy this.
John, they're looking for a show. Give them a show, Johnny Ballgame.
Oh, we'll give him a show. You know what I missed last week, Reap?
What did you miss?
So I was off on vacation last week. You all know this. And word on the streets is Andy Dalton got signed by the Panthers. And I think we've got some actual footage from that if you want to hear it. Like, can we go ahead and play that?
Oh,
yeah, let me roll.
Elmo loves to be playing football for the Panthers. Oh, Elmo loves Carolinas at both North and South. Oh, I love football.
What a great speech that Andy Dalton gave. I mean, that was really good. I think you're going to really like him.
Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Ballgame. That's Johnny Ballgame.
What other fantasy football show are you going to get an Elmo impersonation? None.
And to start the show, too, it's just like that. Just like that.
We just jump right into it. We're not waiting around. There's no pleasantries. We're getting right into the real stuff, the hard-hitting football action, like Andy Dalton's acceptance speech of a contract in Carolina.
Exactly. You can hit up John at John Isbell 85. I am the Fantasy Reaper Chuck Bishop. You can hit me up at the Fantasy Reaper on Twitter. So, let's talk about what we do here, Johnny.
All right.
Fantasy Sports Island is a once-a-week show, about an hour long. We are on Rumble as well as YouTube. Enter Fantasy Sports Island in your search and you'll find our show. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are the inventors of PPR. You're welcome. If you play PPR, it's because of us, Johnny Ballgame.
Yeah, that's right. Guess what? Guess what you weren't doing before we came along playing PPR? You were boring-ass fantasy football. Oh, does your running back get a point for a yard? Congratulations.
Because he didn't get no points for catches.
Didn't get any passes for catches or receiving yards. Oh, that's
correct.
Right.
You can also listen to us on your various podcast formats. Just search for our show and you should be able to find that as well. And Johnny Ballgame, we have a good show tonight. We're going to go over our news and notes around the league. We are going to talk about the running back carousel. That is the NFL. I mean, we're going to talk about all these different running backs and different addresses. That should be fun. Then we're going to finish up the show with some overlooked players, John. Overlooked players people are forgetting about and are going to be drafting too late next year. We're going to be all over that. So sit back, have a pina colada, enjoy this hour, and let's get going on the Fantasy Sports Island show, shall we?
Love it.
All right, John. News and notes. The Philadelphia Eagles are bringing on former Falcons quarterback Marcus Mariota to serve as Jalen Hurts' backup. Why, John?
Because they know they're going to lose Gardner Minshew, and they know they're going to need to have somebody in there for at least a game or two, because you know Hurts is going to get injured at least once or twice. And Mariota's a way better backup quarterback than he is a starting quarterback. I think it's a great move.
Okay. I think I like Gardner Minshew better.
Me too. But I don't.
Marcus Mariota.
I think Minshew is going to go someplace where he thinks he's going to get a shot to play more.
Tony spoiled it at the very last second of the show. Breaking news: Gardner Minshew to the Colts.
Well, there you go. A quarterback needy team. So smart.
You know what? And they may be drafting a quarterback or making a trade for a quarterback. So we don't know what's going to happen. But as it stands right now, I mean, Gardner Minshew is kind of the starter.
Yeah, he's the starter. Congratulations, Gardner.
Congrats. Yeah. The New England Patriots have agreed to a one-year deal with free agent tight end Mike Gesicki. worth up to $9 million. So he goes from the Dolphins to the Patriots, and I think he will be as fantasy relevant as he was last year, John, which is 0.0.
I don't know, man. I think this is one of those under the radar fantasy switches. Like, I might have even put this in our segment for later. Like, they used to use the tight end a lot, and they're getting back an offensive coordinator. Isn't Bill O'Brien going back to be the offensive coordinator there?
Yes, he is.
That guy's going to use the tight end. Gesicki can play. I'm just telling you, man. Gesicki wasn't used right.
Still have Hunter Henry, though, Johnny.
Hunter who? Hunter Henry?
Hunter Henry.
Okay. Yeah, I'm telling you, Gesicki's better than Hunter Henry. So,
okay.
Yeah. Don't sleep on this one. Draft late. Like, last round, you're looking for your backup tight end. And everybody's like, I'll take a chance on Gesicki. It's going to pay off. You're welcome.
Okay. Johnny Ballgame speaks. The Tampa Bay Bucks, Leonard Fournette, Cameron Brate cut, and then the Bills cut Isaiah McKenzie. So, I mean, Fournette, is his fantasy days numbered? I mean, do we even draft Leonard Fournette?
No, I don't think we do. I mean, if he goes to the right system and they want to use him on the goal line, he might be usable as a late round flyer. But no, I think Leonard Fournette's best days are behind him.
Cameron Brate's hasn't been fantasy relevant in a long time.
Mm-mm.
And I'm curious, we're going to talk about where Isaiah McKenzie actually landed in just a minute here, and we'll discuss that. So the Dallas Cowboys are acquiring wide receiver Brandon Cooks from the Texans in exchange for a couple of draft picks. You like this move, don't you, John?
I do. I think, listen, CeeDee Lamb's a good receiver. He's a really good receiver. I think Cooks gives them a legitimate 1B. Like, both of those guys can be number one receivers. Both of them are really talented. Cooks is a little on the older side, but I mean, let's face it, he's pretty rested from last year. He didn't really get a lot of use last year. Got a lot of rest and was injured in Houston and couldn't get out. So I think he's going to be fine. I think it's a really nice match. I actually really like this.
I do too, John. I think Brandon Cooks can be a really productive receiver if he has a quarterback. And in Dallas with Dak, I think he's the perfect complement. He's a speedy guy next to CeeDee Lamb, who's more of a, like like move the chains type receiver. So, yeah.
Like Cook has a nice run after catch. Yeah, I think he's going to get Daked. I think Dak is going to really. I just really like the whole combination. I like that trio right there.
They also have similar celebrations when they get first downs or long plays. CeeDee Lamb does the old first down thing, and then Brandon Cook shoots the little arrow. It's kind of similar.
Yeah. See, it's kismet. Who knew? It's
going to be fun.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Carolina Panthers have reached a deal with wide receiver Adam Thielen on a 3-year, $33 million deal. What do we think? Does Adam Thielen have anything left in the tank, John?
Man, I don't think so. I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think he was that great last year. But again, is this one of those? Who was the guy that went from Miami? Was really good.
Wes Welker?
Wes Welker, yes. He went on to Denver and actually had a pretty good season his first year. And then I think he got injured or something like that. I think it was Welker.
He had 2 great seasons. He was one of the guys that Manning had when he set the NFL record.
Yeah. So is Thielen the new Wes Welker? Is he going to go to this next place? Now, granted, they don't really have a quarterback, so there's that. He doesn't have Peyton Manning throwing to him, so maybe
that is correct.
Maybe he's not the next Wes Welker.
I think Thielen's a little bit underrated, though. I mean, it wasn't working out the last year in Minnesota. But I think a change of scenery could be good, and we'll see what they get at quarterback. If we get a competent quarterback back there, I could see Thielen still being fantasy relevant.
He could catch the ball. He's a great possession receiver, and even if they got a rookie back there, or they've got even a journeyman quarterback, they're going to need a receiver who can catch the ball and can just move the chains, and that's Adam Thielen. So yeah, he could be especially in a PPR league, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but you've got us to thank for that. In a PPR league, he could actually be pretty good.
Wait, are you saying we invented PPR, John?
I am. By the way, I was thinking, it struck me that most of the time people probably look at us and go, there's no way you're old enough to have invented PPR. But with this beard, it is clear that we're old enough to have invented PPR, and you're welcome.
I mean, you're talking to the crystal meth Santa Claus over here. I mean, of course he's old enough to have invented PPR. Actually, I love the beard, John. I love the beard.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Kind of digging.
Wide receiver Matt Collins and the Atlanta Falcons have agreed to a 1-year deal. Hollins had 57 catches for 690 yards and 4 touchdowns last season for the Raiders. I think people saw a couple big games from Matt Collins and in their mind thought he's pretty good. Actually, he's really mediocre. So I'm not sure if this move moves the needle at all.
No, it's just another guy in Atlanta who's just average.
Yeah, exactly. So let's not even waste our time with that.
No.
The Miami Dolphins have officially exercised Tua Tagovailoa's 5th-year option ahead of the deadline, May 2nd deadline to do that. So I just want to say, you guys are sleeping on Tua Tagovailoa. If he's healthy with that team around him with speed, I told you this last year. We told you this last year. He's going to put up numbers. So he's a top 10 quarterback, but not being drafted as such.
Crazy talk. I agree with you. I think we are really sleeping on this guy. When he was playing like the first half of the season last year, there was MVP talk. He was that good. And then we all just kind of forgot because he had the injuries. Granted, the injuries were scary, especially the one was terrifying. But if he's got a clean bill of health, I think they were really smart to sign him to the 5th-year option, gives him another year to see how he's going to do at really not that ridiculous money. Whereas if they had to tag him next year, would have been crazy amount of money. So I think it was really smart.
I agree very much. Okay, the Bills have signed former Miami and San Francisco wide receiver Trent Sherfield to a 1-year deal. I kind of like this because Trent Sherfield's a sneaky good like slot receiver, and you put him on the Bills. They're badly in need of that. To go with Shakir, who I thought was pretty good at a rookie receiver for them, and you still have your guys on the outside. I think this could be a really good fit for them. I'm not sure if it'll have any fantasy relevance, but I think it helps Josh Allen.
Yeah, if you're a Bills fan, like just a pure Bills fan, and you don't care about fantasy as much, it's probably a great signing. He's a good possession receiver, like you said. Is he going to be fantasy relevant? No, probably not. I just read an article that Nuke Hopkins' main place is Buffalo. That's where he wants to go. That's where he wants.
Wow, that would be tremendous.
Yes.
Wide receiver Zach Pascal is signing a 2-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals, and nobody cared. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed O.J. Howard. And a lot of you are like, what? O.J. Howard's still in the league?
Didn't he kill his wife? No, O.J. Howard, not Simpson.
Oh, Johnny.
I mean, he was acquitted, so neither of them did, apparently, according to the law. Whatever.
No, O.J. Howard is only guilty of one thing. He can't catch passes.
he murders people's dreams.
He murders people's fantasy teams. Yeah. The Houston Texans have made 2 major additions to their offense on Monday, agreeing to 1-year deals with tight end Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys and running back Devin Singletary, formerly of the Bills. Singletary's deal is worth $3.75 million, while Dalton Schultz is getting $9 million.
Schultz got 9.
So
yeah.
That tells you how the league is going these days.
I was thinking that same thing. Yes.
3.75 to the running back. I also think they're not viewing Devin Singletary as a main running back here in Houston. They know they have Dameon Pierce. We're going to talk about that a little later, and we'll talk about Singletary, but I just wanted to get your take on Dalton Schultz real quick.
Yeah, listen, Dalton Schultz is talented. He's a good tight end. I don't know if he's one of the greatest tight ends ever. I don't even know if he's elite, but in today's tight end world, it's, he's top 10 for sure, maybe top 5, but that's like being the skinniest kid at fat camp. It is not necessarily an elite number.
Okay. Former New England Patriots running back Damian Harris reached an agreement on a 1-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. Hold that thought because we're going to talk about the running back carousel. So we're going to move on. Former NFL quarterback Cam Newton, Johnny, Superman, that Cam Newton, a Heisman Trophy winner at Auburn, will throw at Tigers Pro Day on Tuesday. He announced in a 54-second video on social media Monday night saying that he can't even imagine 32 NFL quarterbacks better than him. Can you, John?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I can. I mean, every single NFL starting quarterback is better than Cam Newton, which is why he's not in the league, because he thinks he's better than he is, and not going to pay him what he wants. He's a minimum guy, a minimum salary guy.
Yeah, listen, I don't know if there's 32 quarterbacks better than him, but there's probably 31, right? like he had a shot. He was with Carolina. He had a shot, and he couldn't do that. So that was 2 years ago. He's not the same Cam Newton. He's just not.
He's had his shot twice at Carolina and at New England. They gave him a starting job, and they had to replace him because he wasn't good.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. All right. Former Buffalo Bills wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie, who we spoke about earlier, is signing with the Indianapolis Colts. Good fit?
Maybe. I don't know that I'm excited. Like, to me, he's like Paris Campbell. Like, it's just another guy, I think.
He's replacing Paris Campbell, yeah.
Yeah, he's good enough to be in the league. He's good enough to make catches. Is he an elite receiver? No. He'll have a few big games just like he did in Buffalo.
Okay, last bit of news. The Dallas Cowboys have agreed to a deal with running back Ronald Jones, formerly of the Chiefs. We'll get to that in just a minute. Matter of fact, we're going to get to that right now because it's time. Johnny, for the running back carousel.
Nice, let's do it.
So what we're going to do is go around the league and talk about like the different running backs that have switched places and how they fit in that new team and what it means fantasy wise for the incumbent and for the incoming guy. So let's start with Damian Harris to the Bills. The Bills get their guy to replace Devin Singletary, who left. Do we think Damian Harris is a better fit than Singletary? And what does this do for James Cook, like his outlook?
Yeah, it's hard. I kind of feel like they're the same running back, Harris and Singletary. Like, I don't know that they're getting an upgrade, but they're not getting a downgrade either. I think they're both similar in their styles. I think they're both similar in the fact that they're going to vulture enough away from Cook that's going to make you go, oh, I just wish they would use Cook more. So I think Cook becomes the number one, but it's going to feel a little bit like it did in New England, right? Where you had Ramondre and then you had Polaris, as you love to call him. I don't know. I'm ambivalent towards it. I feel like they just replaced one guy with another that's exactly pretty much the same.
All right. I disagree. I think Damian Harris he's very good running back. He's very hard to bring down. He's a guy that very rarely doesn't get at least a yard or two on a carry. He doesn't get caught in the backfield. He's a straight north-south runner, and he's capable of explosive plays. And I think that's exactly what they're looking for in Buffalo to complement Cook, okay, baby Cook, as we like to call him, because I think Cook's the pass catcher and Damian Harris it's the exact same thing as in New England. But I think this will be in a more effective lineup.
But the thing is I think Singletary had explosive power. I think Singletary was a good runner. Singletary could break tackles. I don't think they used him right, quite frankly. I don't think Singletary got enough credit. I think in the right scheme, Singletary can be very good. So I wasn't saying Damian Harris is a downgrade at all. I just feel like they're going to take about the same amount of carries and have the same amount of plays, close to the same amount of yards, maybe slightly different ways. But I don't think Cook's going to get everything that Cook could get because Harris is there, just like he didn't because Singletary was there. That's kind of what I think
Damian Harris has a nose for the end zone. He's a guy that, don't forget, had 15 touchdowns just 2 years ago. So I think he could really be the goal line guy and get those touchdowns for the Bills when Josh Allen isn't getting them.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense.
Miles Sanders to the Panthers. Now, this is an odd one. I was saying this last week, John. I don't know if you heard it. Miles Sanders had the most yards before he was touched in the NFL per carry.
Wow.
So in other words, the Eagles' offensive line was so good, he would go get yards before he was even touched, more than anyone else in the league. He also broke the fewest tackles. He was
Right.
dead last in yards after contact. So, but the Panthers have a really good offensive line. We saw Deontay Foreman succeed there, and Miles Sanders is fast and it can be explosive. So, is this a good fit?
I think it's an okay fit. Again, it depends on who the quarterback is, and we don't know who that's going to be. Right now it's Elmo is throwing him the ball, so he's going to be handing the ball off quite a bit. Probably. So yeah, I think he can get yards, but like you said, he's not great at breaking tackles. But luckily, Carolina's line is good enough. They're going to give him. He's going to probably lead the league again in yards before contact. So congratulations. So hopefully
he also has a lot of speed too, Miles Sanders.
He does.
So
he really does.
Where Deontay Foreman couldn't break away, that's different with Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
Speaking of Deontay Foreman and Travis Homer went to the Bears to replace Montgomery, who left. So, I mean, do you like Montgomery more than you like Deontay Foreman?
I liked Derek Montgomery and Foreman about the same. You know what I mean? But I think here's the thing. I do think Foreman's tougher than Montgomery was. I think Montgomery struggled last year. I don't think he's as tough. I think he's kind of aging there. I think Foreman's got a little bit more power and can get into the end zone a little bit more than Montgomery did. Montgomery really struggled on the goal line. So, but I'm asking, what's going on with Khalil Herbert? Like, to me, I feel like he's the guy that picks up the starting mantle. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. That's a good point. This could have been the Herbert show. He could have finally gotten unleashed because we saw what he did when Montgomery was out. He was very, very good, but it's a small sample size. So obviously the Bears don't think Herbert can do it for the long haul. So they bring in Foreman and Travis Homer, who's a pass catcher. I'm not sure Homer's going to have a big role here, but he might cut into Herbert's, snaps just a little bit, which is disappointing.
Yeah. I'm not a giant Travis Homer fan, so I don't really feel like that one cuts into Herbert. I do feel like Foreman's going to cut into it. I think it's going to be another split, and I just, these running back by committees, I feel like we got more of them now with all this movement. You know what I mean? Like, this is for sure a running back by committee, whereas at least Montgomery was the starting running back, and they would spell him with Herbert unless he was injured. I feel like this is going to be a genuine split now, and I don't want either of them.
I agree. And another reason why I don't want either of them, because Justin Fields is good and he's going to rush. He's like going to be like, like Jalen Hurts. When you get down to the goal line, he's going to run it in a lot. So that takes away opportunities.
Yep. Yeah. Totally think so.
Okay. Ronald Jones to the Cowboys. And the reason why I bring this up is because the Cowboys let Ezekiel Elliott go. His contract was too rich for their blood. So they bring in the cheaper Ronald Jones. But Ronald Jones hasn't been effective in years. He didn't even really get to play much in Kansas City in an explosive offense. So I think what this does, and you back me up here if you want, I think this just guarantees that Pollard's going to be the freaking man in Dallas.
This, to me, moves Pollard into top 3 or 4 running backs. Like I'm that excited about Pollard. It's the one place where running back movement actually made it clear cut who the number one is. So I'm with you, dude. Rojo's a no-go for me. I don't care about him, but it just means that Tony Pollard is the guy, and it's going to be the guy.
Couldn't agree with you more. How about Samaje Perine to the Broncos? First of all, are you disappointed that the Bengals let Perine go? And Samaje to the Broncos, are you disappointed that this affects Javonte Williams?
Yeah, it both. I could just simply go, yep, because I feel exactly that way about both of the things. I think Cincinnati should have fought to keep him. I think if you'd asked me 2 years ago, I'd have been like, I don't really care about Perine that much. He can go wherever he needs to go. I think Perine was brilliant last year and really hard to bring down and really kind of came into his own as a running back. I think Denver's lucky to have him, and I think it makes me worry about whether our friend in Denver is really recovering or not, right? Like is his recovery that bad that they're bringing him in? Otherwise, it's just created a similar thing there where, when we had the fantasy rooster, now we've got two running backs who are very good, who are going to just keep taking from each other. So,
Well said. How about Montgomery? We're talking about him. David Montgomery went to the Lions. He takes over for Jamal Williams in that offense. This could be really good for David Montgomery. What do we think? The Lions have a great offensive line.
the Lions have a great offensive line. David Montgomery was not awesome around the goal line last year, but a couple years ago, he was really good around the goal line. So it depends which version of David Montgomery they're getting. I don't understand the trade-off, though. I would have fought to keep Jamal Williams if I was the Lions. I think they're ridiculous for letting him go for literally the exact same money that they paid Montgomery is what he got paid by his new team. I don't get what Detroit did here. They lost a leader. They lost a really popular guy with the city. That guy is really coming into his own and scored 16 touchdowns for them last year. I think this is the dumbest move maybe of free agency, in my opinion.
Tony and I talked about this last week. Tony made up a good point. He said, I believe Montgomery got 16 million versus 12 for the same length of contract that Jamal Williams got to go elsewhere. So why didn't they just pay Jamal Williams, who, by the way, led the NFL in touchdowns?
That's exactly right.
At running back. Yeah, so why not keep him, save a little bit of money, and, just keep it going? But I think what I said was that David Montgomery is more elusive as a running back overall than Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is just straightforward north-south runner. I think David Montgomery is a little bit more elusive, hard to, he can shake you, he can spin move, he can stiff arm you. He's quite hard to tackle, and I think that's what Detroit's looking for.
Yeah, but I mean, what does this mean for DeAndre Swift? Does that mean he's injured?
They don't see DeAndre Swift as a 3-down back. They see him as a passing back only. They're going to limit his touches because he's fragile.
I just thought the combination of Williams and Swift was better than what the combination of Montgomery and Swift are going to be, personally.
And I mean, I could see that. I understand what you're saying. I'm just telling you, I think the Lions value the elusiveness of Montgomery.
They clearly do, which is weird, though, because you think of that team, and they're built on toughness and a little bit of power, and they bash you in the face right down at the goal line, and they just got rid of the guy that does that. So I don't know, man. It's weird. The whole thing's weird to me, and I just don't like the move. I don't like it at all.
Okay. Devin Singletary and Mike Boone go to the Texans. So they muddy up that backfield just a little bit. It makes you worry about, Pierce.
Yeah.
But I'm not really worried because I don't think Devin Singletary is very good. And I know Mike Boone's not very good. I think they're just insurance. I think they're just going to spell Dameon Pierce. And I think the Texans are going to have a better offensive line, and they're going to draft a quarterback. And I think things are going to turn in the right direction for this team. They'll have better game scripts for Dameon Pierce. They won't be playing from 14 points down every freaking game.
Right.
What do you think, John? Is this good or bad for Pierce?
I think what it is it's insurance for Pierce to make sure that he actually recovers from the injury that he had, right? He was injured at the end of the season, and that injury takes a while to recover. So I think it's insurance. Mike Boone doesn't do anything for me, so I don't care about him. I'm a little higher on Singletary because I think Singletary had some really good games and showed some really good flashes, and I just don't think he was necessarily used right. But I don't think he's going to steal share from Pierce. I think he'll spell him, and it's good for Houston to have that extra running back. And if Pierce does get injured again, you've got somebody who can actually carry the load if you need him to. But yeah, otherwise, no, it was fine.
Okay. James Robinson to the Patriots. So they lose Damian Harris. They replace him with James Robinson.
Muddy it up again.
Yeah. What is your take on this move?
He's not as good as Damian Harris. And so this might mean Ramondre gets number 1 status and Robinson's there for insurance. That it might be, but again, it's Belichick, so I throw all my gut feelings out with him because I just don't get him sometimes with the running back situation. But if I were him, I would start Ramondre and I would run that dude and I would run him hard.
I'm going to be freaking real here. The Patriots don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Oh,
all their moves are
How do you feel about
questionable ever since Tom Brady left. Every move, I've scratched my head and said, why?
yeah.
To the whole, I mean, we're talking the receivers they bring in and let go, the running back carousel that they have there, and the coaching staff. They had 2 defensive-minded players doing the offensive coordinator position last year. I don't understand it. Bill Belichick maybe is trying to prove what a genius he is, but what he's really proving is he's an idiot.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to go, so it was Brady then.
It was Brady.
It was
Brady.
it was. Yeah, because he went on and won a Super Bowl. I don't know if anybody heard about that, but
I think Belichick's a very good defensive coach. I do. And I think the way he calls the game, like some of the adjustments he makes are very good. I don't think he knows what he's doing on offense, though. I just don't. And
no, I think he was really smart to go get Bill O'Brien and get him back in there. I think
hopefully Bill O'Brien
will
will steer the ship in the correct direction. Hopefully.
Yep.
So we were talking about Jamal Williams earlier. He ends up on the Saints for less money than Montgomery got. So I like this move for Jamal. If you have Jamal in Dynasty, you went
Very
okay.
much. Yeah.
Because you saw him leave Detroit and you're like, oh no, but now he lands in a pretty good spot because, whether or not Kamara gets suspended or not, he's still going to play the role that, what's his name used to have there? Ingram. Yes. So, but most likely Kamara is going to get suspended. And then Jamal Williams is the freaking man in that offense.
He's the dude with a quarterback, Derek Carr, with some really good receivers on the outside, with a line that's pretty damn good. I really like this. This is almost my favorite running back move. While I didn't get Jamal being let go in Detroit, I love the signing by New Orleans. Really smart move by them.
Also, I think he's a guy that people are going to sleep on a little bit and they've forgotten about, and he's going to be down there, in the 7th, 8th round, and you can scoop him up.
Yes.
Scoop him up and might have a starter for the first 6 weeks of the season, like a legitimate RB1 who gets touchdowns.
And I got news for you. Kamara was the starter last year and wasn't great. So Jamal gets out of the gates and starts doing it. They're use Kamara as a 3rd down back because he can catch passes. And Jamal's back in the 2 down and then goal line set, and you're not losing much with that. So
Sean Payton's not there anymore, Johnny. So the Kamara that we knew and loved, he doesn't exist anymore. It's a different world.
Yep.
He's older now. He's in trouble with the law. He might get suspended. He's not the same dude. And now you bring this guy in who's hungry, and Jamal Williams he did get a 3-year deal, so he did get some money there.
But he's hungry. He's hungry. God,
he wants to be the man.
Yeah.
All right. This is one of my favorite moves. The Rashad Penny to the Eagles.
You do like
Kenneth
this
Gainwell,
one. Yes.
Boston Scott, and Trey Sermon are still there.
Yeah.
But Rashad Penny behind that offensive line, number 1, in ranked by PFF. What do we think?
Here's my issue. When Rashad Penny is healthy, Rashad Penny is a very, very good running back. He has yet to show us that he can stay healthy. Name one season he went through the entire season healthy.
Yeah, he hasn't.
No.
He's gone spells for multiple weeks where he is the number 1 running back in
Unbelievable.
fantasy football.
Yes.
Unbelievable. He won people championships 2 years ago down the stretch, but he has not put it together for a whole season. So, but he hasn't been on a team with this good of an offensive line. Yeah. And like I was telling you earlier, Miles Sanders didn't get touched multiple times before he got several yards.
Really great point.
You do that for Rashad Penny. You keep him healthy. You keep him fresh with all those other backs that rotate in and out.
Yeah.
This guy could, he's a career 5.3 yards per carry, John.
Yeah. You know what vibes he's giving me this year? He's given me what's the running back in Las Vegas? that had a breakout year this last year.
Josh Jacobs.
He's giving me Josh Jacob vibes for some reason. Like I'm getting that same feel from him. Like this is going to be, we're going to look back at the end of next year and he's going to be in the top 3 and we're going to go, yeah, what a great year for Rashad Penny. I agree with you. I really do like this move too.
Okay. Chase Edmonds to Tampa Bay. Right now it looks okay because they don't have Fournette. And so he's backing up. Gosh, I forgot the rookie last year, the running back that came on there.
Rashad White.
Thank you. Yeah. So Rashad White is there, but Chase Edmonds could be like the third down back.
Yeah.
As it stands now, we'll see because, we're still early. There's still a lot of running backs out there, John. But is Chase Edmonds have any value?
No, but I think this helps Rashad White. I think it helps us know that Rashad White's the starter there. I think Chase Edmonds will get some third down run. But Chase Edmonds hasn't done anything. He didn't do anything in Miami, and that was just a very average backfield to start. I mean, they picked up 2 players that were actually, and they both beat Chase Edmonds out. So I just am not impressed at all with Chase Edmonds. I didn't like him that much on the Cardinals. So
yeah, and the Dolphins. Yeah,
I definitely didn't like him on the Dolphins, but he had an okay year with the Cardinals. I just don't like him that much.
So, okay, we've talked about all these running backs, moving addresses, and you have to take what we say with a slight grain of salt because there's still a lot of running backs out there that could end up on some of these teams. Ezekiel Elliott's still out there. There are plenty of running backs. And don't forget the draft, folks. The draft is coming up. You got Bijan Robinson, UCLA Zach Charbonnet, Alabama's Jahmyr Gibbs, Texas A&M's Devon A-Chain. You got Dwayne McBride from UAB.
Yeah.
Rashawn Johnson from Texas. The list keeps going. Kendry Miller, Zach Evans from Tulane. You got Tyjae Spears, etc. All these guys are going to get drafted somewhere and it could muddy the waters for some of these other running backs that we were just talking about. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But what is your favorite move so far? Like from a running back going to a new team, what's your favorite one? Is it Rashad Penny?
It was Jamal Williams until you sold me on Rashad Penny. So I was like 1A, 1B. When you talked about the Miles Sanders yards before contact thing, and I'm like, God, Penny with space to get going. You might have actually changed my mind, dude, because I was loving Jamal Williams and the Saints, and now I'm just you blew my whole paradigm, quite frankly.
I'm going to go David Montgomery to the Lions is my favorite. Just because
Montgomery's
they've had a crappy line in Chicago, and he's gotten more out of nothing than any other running back. You know what I mean? And now he's going to have space, and I think he'll catch some passes too.
I will say
he'll
this.
be really good.
I didn't want to see him go from the Bears. I'm a Bears fan. Everybody who watches this show knows this. I love the Bears, and I've loved David Montgomery. I drafted him multiple times in fantasy. He's generally pretty good, right? Like he's never super great, but he's always consistently good. And I am going to very much miss that on the Bears. I don't know if I love the move to the Lions, though. I just don't know if I do.
Well, we're going to find out.
We are. Yeah.
All right. You ever seen Justin Jefferson do this?
Yes.
Okay, this is what we're doing, John. You and I, we're looking out there.
Right.
We're putting our goggles on, looking for those overlooked players that people have kind of written off and forgotten about, and aren't going to draft them at value next year. And we're going into the swamp and all the stinky weeds and shit, and we're going to pull out these guys that are valuable, more valuable than when they're being drafted next year. So there's already been a lot of best ball drafts. So we have some ADP on some of these guys.
Oh,
but
I want to hear.
Yeah. So let's talk about some guys that we think are being overlooked for next season's drafts. You want to start?
No, go ahead, man. You give me one.
All right, I'm going to start off with Josh Jacobs. You were talking about him earlier, and I was biting my tongue because I knew he was one of my overlooked players. People are sleeping on this fool again.
Yep.
Same contract situation. He's playing for a contract. Same offense. A little bit different quarterback. But there should be more ball control with Garoppolo,
I could see it.
which means more opportunities. They should have better game scripts. I think the Raiders will be in more games or winning more games because of Garoppolo. Running back one last season, could be the RB1 again this season if it's similar. He's being drafted as the RB9, John, in the 3rd round currently in best ball drafts.
Wow.
Are you serious?
That's crazy talk to me. That's crazy.
I think it is too. He should be in the 1st round.
Yeah. Mine, I also mentioned him earlier, is Ramondre Stevenson. I think people are not going to be really thinking about him. I think, you're going to be worried about the Patriots and Bill Belichick. I think O'Brien comes in, rights the ship, and goes, why would I not run Ramondre Stevenson constantly? And by the way, James Robinson doesn't do anything to scare me. So I really like Ramondre. I really like him this year as an overlooked player.
That's funny that you say that because I'm one of those guys that probably wrote off Ramondre Stevenson. Man, last year he killed me. He was good for many weeks.
He was
but
still the 10th running back. Yeah.
But towards the end of the season, I played him in a game that was very important for my standings, and he got hurt and he sucked. And then I didn't know if he was going to play the next game. And then at the last minute, they played him, and I decided to sit him, and he went ballistic. And then I figured I had to play him the next week, and he sucked. And I just couldn't win with him. And so I kind of wrote him off in my head, John. So I'm glad to hear you say that. And
I love him.
It's a good point.
I love him going into next year.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that Bill O'Brien's there now. It's going to be a different offense. Yep. A guy that knows how to run an offense is actually running the offensive scheme.
Runs offenses. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that could be really good for Ramondre, and he's got a really good skill set. He can catch the ball. He makes the tough yards. He can score touchdowns. He could be really good. I'm with you, Johnny. All right. Another guy that's being overlooked. This one's crazy to me. I just don't understand this, John. Tony Pollard of the Cowboys. We just talked about him. Last year, John, he finished as RB7 with Ezekiel Elliott there.
Is it because some of the drafts were done before Ezekiel got released and they just didn't believe that was going to happen? Is that possibly why? Don't you feel like as the summer...
Maybe, but these are as current as they possibly can be. Yeah. And right now he's being drafted as RB13 in the middle of the 4th round. Zeke's gone, folks. Unless they go out and get Bijan Robinson, which is a possibility, you're potentially passing up a top 5 running back.
Yeah.
And you're not picking him in the first 3 rounds. Are you freaking kidding me? Tony Pollard could be the number 1 running back next year. That's in the world of possibilities.
It is. I got somebody, and you're going to be surprised to hear it because I've never really liked this guy very much, but I think he's going to be massively overlooked.
Give it to me straight, Johnny.
Aaron Jones.
Wow.
I think Aaron Jones is going to get used a lot by Jordan Love. I think he's going to be dumping the ball off a lot. He's going to be passing to that fool. He was still the 8th ranked running back for the season in PPR league, at least in our league. And people, I guarantee, are not drafting him high.
Oh no, he's going in the 4th, 5th round. People, when Rodgers left, they're just assuming.
Yes, and that's the crazy thing. They're going to use him more because Rodgers is gone. It's nutty to me.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers had a very good year last year. He might be washed.
Yep.
And Jordan Love, in his short stint where he got to play, looked really good. He throws the ball down the field. He kind of reminds me of what Aaron Rodgers used to be a couple of years ago. So in that offense, Aaron Jones could catch a lot of balls. He's proven it before. He's better than Dylan. He could be just as good as last year, which was running back 8, folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you, John. You're going to like my next one.
Oh, I'm excited.
He's being overlooked. Dameon Pierce of the Texans. He was RB17 last year, John, but he's being drafted currently as the RB22.
What?
And that's in the 7th round. So he's being drafted later than he was last year.
This is insanity.
They're going to have a better offensive line. They've already signed a lineman. They're going to be better. Better quarterback. They're probably going to draft someone, one of those top 4 quarterbacks. And he's going to be used in the passing game more. What's not to like about Dameon Pierce with that kind of value? 7th round?
Insanity. Singletary's not
an RB2.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's going to depend on their quarterback and who's going to be starting at quarterback. And there's that whole issue. But Damian Pierce is a really talented dude, and put in the right situation could be a top 5 running back. I'm telling you, that guy is just really good. So, hey, I have one that I think is probably happening, but I don't know because I haven't seen the stuff. Where's Kenny Walker being drafted?
Kenny Walker is going in the late first, early second round.
It's just not bad, but I think he's going to be a top 5 running back by the time the season's done next year. So
yeah, which is slightly below where he's being drafted. I think he's like 6th or 7th running back off the board right now, somewhere around there.
So that's not bad.
It's not bad, but maybe being undervalued a little bit. He could be RB1 next year. I mean,
I do have another one that I know is being undervalued, and that's Dalvin Cook. I know he's being undervalued. I know
he's being way undervalued. He's going in the 7th round.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why is because we're not sure the Vikings aren't going to cut him yet.
Yeah, but he's going to go somewhere, and he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to be really good. So,
and Dalvin Cook is let's not forget,
skills.
Still a top 10 running back.
He was 9. He was the 9th running back last year, and everyone's like, "That guy sucks." Oh, okay.
But there's a guy that can have a Josh Jacobs type like rejuvenation, you know,
for sure.
Come back and have a top 5 running back season.
Yeah. Yep.
I hate Dalvin Cook, by the way.
I do too. I want to punch him, but I can't help it. I got another one. I think Najee Harris can have a comeback this year.
Absolutely. Najee Harris is definitely going to be better than last year. He had a hurt toe all year.
All year.
Came on at the end.
Yep.
And was definitely an RB1 in the last few weeks of the season. If he continues that, you're getting him at value. You can pick him in the 3rd, 4th round. So, yeah, he's definitely being overlooked. I got one, John.
All right, Bubba.
Wide receiver Garrett Wilson of the Jets is being drafted as the wide receiver 11 in the early 3rd round of drafts. What is
wrong with people?
I mean, I don't think people realize when Aaron Rodgers gets there. I mean, we're talking about Garrett Wilson could be a top 5 wide receiver right off the bat.
We're talking Devontae Adams numbers.
We're talking Devontae Adams type numbers. This guy's a stud. You know Rodgers has a chip on his shoulder. You know he likes Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
I think we're undervaluing how good
he's no Alan Lazard. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. A guy you brought up, which again, he could have a Wes Welker type year, is Thielen. He's the number 1 receiver right now in Carolina, and you know my rule about number 1 receivers on bad teams are still very much worth drafting.
Absolutely. Also, he's an afterthought. I mean, you can get him so late in the draft.
Oh.
Some drafts won't even draft him,
which is insane. But yeah.
And he's the wide receiver 1 on his team, like you said. So there's volume there. I got one that I really think is criminal. Wide receiver Chris Godwin of the Bucks. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know he was wide receiver 18 last season, coming off major ACL surgery, playing on a horrendous offensive team with the corpse that was Tom Brady? Tom Brady sucked last year, folks. The offensive line sucked. Chris Godwin, coming off an injury, still was able to produce at a wide receiver 2 level. And now he's being drafted as wide receiver 22 in the middle of the 6th round. You can get him later this year than you got him last year. And he's a whole year and a half removed off that injury. And Baker Mayfield is the quarterback.
Baker Mayfield will go to him constantly. I don't like Baker Mayfield as the quarterback. I don't. And who knows, maybe it's the kid ends up beating him out. I doubt it, but maybe does. But I loved him going into this last year, and he let me down a little bit. But again, like you said, he was coming off of major ACL surgery. Mike Evans is only getting older. He's going to be the number 1 receiver in Tampa by far. I think you're right. I think this is criminal. All
right. You got any other overlooked players?
Yeah. Hold on. I just had him, and now I forgot. Oh, I think DK Metcalf is going to be severely overlooked next year.
Yeah, he's overlooked. He was overlooked last year as well.
Yeah. That guy's
good.
A specimen, man. He's still a specimen. Still can play. And
Geno Smith's still there.
Geno Smith is still there. Another year with him. Lockett still there. That offense is still intact for the most
Should
part.
be the same.
Really good running back to run. I think DK is really underlooked. Undervalued.
How about wide receiver Jerry Jeudy on the Broncos? He was wide receiver 23 last season, but he really emerged late and became like Wilson's go-to guy. New head coach, don't forget, is Sean Payton. His offensive genius comes aboard, and now you can draft Jerry Jeudy as wide receiver 30 off the board, John. That's
Insane.
the late 6th, early 7th round. Are you shitting me?
Crazy.
Come
talk,
on, guys.
Crazy talk.
That's crazy talk. He was a wide receiver 2 last year. You can get him in the 7th round.
I've got no answers for you. I'm with you. Completely underrated. You know I like to be some Jerry Jeudy anyway. You know this already about me. So.
I know. I thought I'd tickle your fancy there.
You did. You made me happy. Justin Jefferson probably underlooked. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I have one more.
Okay.
Criminally, by the way, overlooked. This is the worst one of all of them. And you're going to laugh because we say this every year and he's hurt every year. But Michael Thomas of the Saints. When he played last season, he was the wide receiver 14. And I know he got hurt, but he was playing with Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton as his quarterback. This year it's Derek Carr. And even if he regresses a little bit and becomes like a wide receiver 2, like a wide receiver 24, something like that, you can draft him in the 11th round. Basically, he's a flyer. He's the 57th wide receiver off the board, John. If he doesn't work out, just cut him.
Yeah.
But if you know what I mean? Like, what's the risk?
I mean, he's Michael Thomas. So, again, Ohio State dude. I love him. You're right. That's pretty criminal. That's pretty criminal.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the number one receiver there anymore. Chris Olave is clearly the number one receiver.
For sure.
But a number 2 receiver in a Saints offense with Derek Carr as the quarterback, still pretty good. And you're right. Why not take a late round flyer on him if he's still got some talent? They obviously liked him enough that they restructured his deal so they could keep him around. So
exactly.
he's got something.
Yeah, they wanted him to stay. He's still very talented. He showed very well in the games he played last year. He had a 2 touchdown game. He was catching balls. He had a 100-yard game. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he is a wide receiver 1 this year if he's healthy. At least a 2.
Totally. By the way, Derek Carr, also criminally underrated, I think.
Derek Carr, criminally underrated. So he was terrible last year. He was quarterback 23. But tell me why he's going to do better in his current situation.
I just think he's hungry. I think he's a new place. He's going with a coach that knows him and Bruce Allen. He's got some weapons to throw to. Granted, he had Devontae Adams last year, but he locked into Devontae Adams, whereas I think he'll spread the ball around a little bit more. Hopefully he's not going to, do like he's done in the past where he just locks in on one guy. I just like him better there. And I just feel like this is a Steve Berline, Rich Gannon, those quarterbacks who had like some resurgence and a rebirth when they went to a new team. Steve Young, after he left from Tampa and went to San Francisco. This could be, to me, one of those types of things, and I'm kind of excited for him. I think a new place is going to do him good.
All right. That was a good segment. I like that. That was fun.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of fantasy knowledge there for you folks. Just in case you didn't know, Johnny Ballgame and myself each have 25 plus years of experience in fantasy football. So while it may not seem like we know what we're talking about, we do know what we're talking about a little bit, Johnny, right?
We know just a touch. Listen, man, here's the thing. Not only have we played fantasy football for this long, but we both have won a lot. That's the cool thing is like Chuck and I pretty much go back and forth, and Tony, like the three of us, like we just kind of take turns winning different leagues. And, I think I'm on a 4-year championship in at least one of my league things. I think Chuck, you were on a streak until this last year and then just barely missed out on winning again. So, listen, folks, we like doing this because we just like having fun and talking about football. And if you like having fun, telling some jokes and listen to it, make sure you follow us. We're having a good time.
Thank you very much. And on that note, I would like to ask the people, would you mind hitting us a like, follow us on Rumble, look for us on the podcast, Apple Podcasts, search for Fantasy Sports Island, do your thing, baby. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment, anything that will help us get our videos out there. Share them with other people. We appreciate you because we do this for you because it's fun. Damn it, fantasy football is fun and we enjoy it. We hope you enjoy it too. We hope you enjoyed Fantasy Sports Island. John, any closing remarks before we get out of here?
No, listen, Poop Newton will be back. He was on vacation this week, so it'll be back to a trio next week, and maybe we'll even get the Fantasy Rolls voice on for a segment. But yeah, like Chuck said, Chuck, thank you, brother, for doing this. As always, hosting the Fantasy Reaper brings you the knowledge and kills your dreams because he kills you in fantasy football. That's why he's the Reaper.
I'm gonna have a Fantasy Reaper segment coming up in the next couple weeks, so look out for that. Johnny Ballgame breaking out the Elmo tonight was fantastic. Thank you, Johnny Ballgame, for your knowledge.
Man. Good talking to y'all. Peace.
All right, we're gonna see you next week. Everyone enjoy. Aloha.
Aloha.